Hey YouTube, this is for any RV owners that have an RV with a Schwintek slide out system. I have a 2015 Forrest River bumper pull 24 foot with a dining room slide out. Bought it relatively new. It was pretty much brand new when I bought it. Elderly couple owned it. They used it a couple times when I bought it in 2018. And the slide has been an issue since the day I bought it. It has been stuck in the out position more times than I can count. I've replaced the motors twice. I replaced the controller that controls these and synchronizes these motors. Still would not work. So I'm going to give a big shout out to a gentleman by the name of Darren, who owns My RV Works. He's an RV tech, I believe, based out of Oregon. And if you YouTube him, My RV Works, he has numerous videos specifically for the Schwintek slide system. And utilizing his videos, his sharing of knowledge, I completely disassembled my slide system. This is I've already rebuilt one side. So everything you see here is times two. This is the aft side of my slide. These are the runners. These are the bearing blocks. I've rebuilt them already. I purchased rebuild kits. I've replaced the gears, the rollers, the shoes. And I wanted to go over a few things. So these are your runners, your motor, your bearing blocks. These are the pieces for the bearing blocks. And this is the H column that attaches to the wall of your slide. And this is the drive shaft. The bearing blocks sit on this end and this end. The motor sits up here. This is the top of the H column. These are called gibs, G-I-B-S, gibs. And they reside in these slots on both sides of your bearing blocks, top and bottom. There's a couple things that I wanted to, in my quest to make this slide finally work reliably, there's a couple things I wanted to point out. One, your manufacturers use these crappy, I don't know what kind of metal this is, but they rust. These screws hold these tracks to the side of both sides of your slide, top and bottom, and they rust and they break. They're crap. So I've replaced all the screws with stainless steel beefier screws. Now you may have a problem with the bearing block. The top of the bearing block, bearing blocks ride your slide like this. This edge is pretty close to this lip, and if your screw head is too big, when this slide passes by the bearing block, this head may interfere with your bearing block. So you have to, I would absolutely replace these crap screws with stainless steel screws, but make sure the head does not interfere with the bearing block. The other thing that I ran into is the manufacturers, when they installed mine, at least on the other side, not this side, the gibs, these that hold the bearing blocks in position, top and bottom, the gibs attached, riveted to this H column, were 1/8 of an inch further apart than the tracks. So there was a tremendous amount of tension on the other side of the slide. That's why that side of my slide consistently would not come in. I believe that was the reason. So I had to drill out the bottom gibs, I drilled out the rivets, and I elongated the holes that they're riveted to, and I moved those gibs 1/8 of an inch closer together so that there wasn't as much tension, or is not any tension, between the H column that holds the drive shaft and the bearing blocks. The bearing blocks riding on these, there was too much tension. They forced the H column onto the bearing blocks, and that side of the slide just would not want to come in. It was a constant problem. So it was never my motors. It wasn't, and I'll show you the gear for the bottom on that side. The gear is completely, like every other tooth, half of the teeth are missing. So it was struggling hard because there was, I believe, the manufacturer mounted these slide racks, these racks, to the side of the slide 1/8 of an inch further apart than the gibs on top and bottom of this H column. So it was struggling, and you can see the rollers. This is the bottom roller, is completely chewed up. This is the top. The top was sliding fine, but since I had this torn apart, I rebuilt both sides, both bearing blocks, replaced the rollers with new gears and new shoes. These shoes, these plastic pieces, ride inside this track here. See if I can get this in. Anyway, so these shoes, which are attached here, ride inside. Probably should have positioned this before I started the video. Anyway, this rides like this. And this one rides like that. And the gears fit inside of there, and they mesh with this. So in any case, check out if you have a Schwintek slide system on your RV that is giving you issues, and you're a capable DIY type of guy like myself. Look up My RV Works with Darren at My RV Works and watch his videos. He has numerous videos on this slide system, and I was literally at a point where I was going to push this camper off a cliff into a deep lake. The slide system has been just a thorn in my side since I bought it. And now, even before pulling this side apart, I rebuilt the other side that had the issues, rebuilt it, reassembled it, and the slide, before I took this apart, came in and out better than it ever has. However, this side was skipping a little bit on this bottom bearing block, so I decided to pull it apart and rebuild it as well. Something else I want to point out, manufacturers, see those threads at the bottom of this H column? They used a screw, a self-tapping machine screw right here, to hold the demolding onto the outside of this H column. They used about 1.5 inches, maybe a 2-inch self-tapping machine screw, and they drilled it right into the bearing block. So I am positive that this bearing block sitting inside my camper was under pressure with that machine screw on the bottom drilled into it and pressing it up at an angle. They also did it right here. They drilled through the H column with a machine screw and drilled right into the bearing block. Your drive shaft fits through this hole right here, and your gear is right here. And they had a machine screw sticking out into the bearing block. So I believe that this bearing block had pressure this way and from the inside this way. So I don't think it was sitting true on the track, and that's why this bottom one was skipping. So manufacturers of RVs, nothing against you, Forrest River, but your quality control needs some work. That's just asinine, absolutely asinine. So I modified the H-column on the other side of the slide. I had to move the gibs up 1/8 of an inch on the other side of the slide, the forward side of the slide. And then this one, they ran a machine screw right into the bearing block in 2 places. So I just wanted to put out a quick video. Don't give up on your Schwintek slide. If you have one and you're frustrated with it, look up Darren at My RV Works. And you know, had I taken this to a dealer or an RV tech, this would have cost a lot of money to rebuild this. I believe these rebuild kits on Amazon were about $80 each, so $160. I put new, so I've completely cleaned up these tracks, took the foam off the back, which is this roll right here. This foam goes on the back of both of these. This sits against your slide. So new foam, I peeled off all the foam. I completely detailed these tracks up, all where the bearing rides, and inside this track where the feet, the shoes ride, and where this V groove, where the rollers ride, completely detailed it up. So this one roll comes with this, with new rollers, new shoes, bearings, foam blocks that fit inside your slide, new butyl tape, which sits on the back side of this H column. You can see the old butyl tape. I have not detailed this up yet. I will remove all that butyl tape and put new butyl tape in, and I'm replacing all of these crappy rusting screws with stainless steel. So I went up 1 size. I have, as you can see, I have numerous broken ones. So the screw, the remnants of the screw is inside the wood framing of the RV walls. So in any case, look up My RV Works. And if you're a DIYer, this really didn't take a lot of tools. Watch those videos, familiarize yourself with the system. He has a lot of tips and tricks on how to disassemble this properly. Make sure you watch all of them. It can be a little tricky, but after you get one side done, the next side will go quick. Anyway, thank you, YouTube, and I hope this helps somebody.